and the immigrants. That attitude we find appalling. Today, we have a government which, in their POI, tells us that they are continually narrowing the grounds of the debate and excluding people in those immigrants. Today, we have a government which is self-contradicting and which is unsure of what the immigrants really want. But at the end of the day, it is the opposition which knows that the importance of morality in today's society, in today's debate. And it is the opposition which champions the rights of the immigrants, the benefits to the society, and that is why the opposition is very proud to oppose. Now, let's take a look at the three main clashes we can use to summarize today's debate. The first clash is a clash on morality. The second clash is a clash of whether the human rights of the immigrants and the rights of citizens in the society is protected, and the third clash is the necessity of passing today's motion. On the first clash, we see that we question whether the morality that the government told us today is correct. The government today, in their speech, they're forcing the immigrants to change so that they can be accepted into the society. Ladies and gentlemen, that is extremely discriminatory, and that is what we find appalling. And ladies and gentlemen, we see that the opening government suddenly realized the problem and realized the importance of the situation and how they lack morality when we talked about the issue of immigrants, and then they suddenly started narrowing the grounds of debate by excluding refugees and political asylums out of immigrants. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we find appalling. While it is the opposition today which have proved to you that refugees and political asylum require this fundamental right to live in a better society. And they also told us that people do not have the right to choose in which country they live in. That is what we find appalling. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that immigrants need this place, and we have proved to you it throughout the government bench and through the opposition bench and certainly the closing government. But before that, yes, sir. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
The politics immigration of Australia definitely has preferences for those countries of Commonwealth. How do you explain that? Do you think that's also unfair?
Ladies and gentlemen, today we see that language is not a great barrier which forces people to be unable to work. Today we have told you that the very morality of whether we as a member of the society and the world, we should be helping the people who are refugees and political asylomists, and that is what the government today opposes. That we find appalling. So the issue of morality falls on our side. We see that on the second clash, no thank you sir and ma'am. Today we see that on the second clash of whether we should grant these immigrants freedom and rights. They told us that we should not do so because they will take away the right of getting a better welfare of people in society. That is from the opening government because they say that they will not contribute to the society. But then from the closing government, they suddenly told us that, well, these people are working. They're only getting exploited. We see that this is a clear contradiction because opening government told us they will not work, and the closing government told us that they are actually working. But even if so, it is the closing opposition which told you, with the example of France, that these people can actually work and help contribute to society. Today we see that these people, if we let these people into the society without passing the language test, they will improve their own life, the welfare of the society, and that is what we really want. This is the important issue. We say that by not passing today's motion, we can contribute to the society and help these immigrants live a better life. This is the issue of morality, which we have already won, and this is the issue of human rights, which I have now proved to you why we have won. But before I move on to the third clash,
So it takes at least 2 years to learn a language. Are you going to let them die in a lake if they can't read the sign?
So, sir, you have already admitted in your speech that it is difficult for them to learn a language and they have to work as a black market. But isn't supporting the government's model that they have to pass the language so that they can become a citizen more against what you really want? What you're saying is that it's difficult for them to learn a language, and in that time there will be a black market. But the government says that if they do not pass this test, we'll leave them alone and let them work in the black market. That is completely contradictory, and that attitude we find appalling. Ladies and gentlemen, we also see today that there is contradiction within the opening government. No, thank you, ma'am. We see that they already told us the language is very important. But then the Deputy Prime Minister came out and told us that immigrants have no incentive to learn this language. Ladies and gentlemen, if this language is so important, why do the people not have the incentive to learn. Ladies and gentlemen, this is clear contradiction. Before I move to the opposition on necessity. Yes.
They have no intent, once they go there, because they first of all recognize the difficulty that the existence of states like China for them to hide for the whole rest of the life.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the opening government today which told us that people have a dream. And then they suddenly told us that they do not have the intention to chase that dream. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the opening government actually telling us today? That contradiction is what we find appalling, because we're taking a look at matters as important as the fundamental right of the immigrant and the better welfare of the society. Now, on the opposition case of whether it is necessary to pass the motion, we see that it is not, because first of all, the test is not a fair level where you can judge whether the immigrants are not starting on a level ground, and therefore it is not fair. And we also see that one test is unable to solve the problem that the entire parliamentary house is actually recognizing today. So, ladies and gentlemen, what have I told you? I've told you that it is our responsibility as a member of the society and as a member of the world to improve and better this society and better the rights of the immigrants. We see that the opening government model actually contradicts what the closing government wants and does not solve the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, for the better future of the society, for the better future of the immigrants, and a better future of the world, the opposition is very, very proud to oppose. Thank you.